Good morning, Kirk here. Just going to do a little cartridge talk this morning about a cartridge that I am pretty fond of. If you guys haven't figured out, I am kind of fond of 6.5 millimeter cartridges. I like them. I think it's an interesting diameter. I fooled around with various of them, and if I have a chance to pick up another one I don't have, I probably will. Well, this is a round that I picked up probably around 1999, I believe. I had a contender for a couple of years and was going on to the Thompson Center website, and they had fire sale. Basically, they were having barrels and things. They were cleaning out their excess inventory, and they had some 10 millimeter barrels, which I wish I'd have bought one of those, but I didn't. And they had two or three other calibers. Well, the one that I bought was, since I liked 6.5s, I bought a 6.5 TCU, Thompson Center Uvalde. What in the world is this? Well, if you don't know, if you can't figure out by just looking at the case, it is a 223 necked up to 6.5. It's one of several cartridges that Wes Uvalde came out with for the Silhouette and other shooting games, specifically Silhouette. He had a 6 millimeter, a 25, a 6.5, and a 7. Now, the 7 millimeter was the first one. It came out about 1980. They fooled around with the 30. Elgin Gates had fooled around with a 30 also, doing the same basic thing. But then in 87, he brought out the 25. And probably shortly after that, they came out with sometime after that, came out with the 6.5 and the 6 millimeter. I can't find an exact date on the 6.5. If anybody knows when the 6.5 was introduced, I can't seem to find that in any of the literature. They just say it was, during that time frame. Well, I bought the barrel, like I said, around 99 or so from Thompson Center's website. And what does it do? How hard is it to make? It's pretty simple. You just I like my favorite brass to use for shooting the 6.5 TCU is I'll get Federal Gold Medal 223 match brass and not fired, brand new brass. And then I will run it through the sizing die and size it, and then fire form it with 140 grain target load. Now, this gun is, when you get to the 140s, you're pushing it as far as, you're getting at the top end of what it can handle, what bullet weights that actually give you some effective velocity. Anything heavier than a 140 really, I don't think it really does it well. The velocity that I'm seeing in manuals, and pretty much from my own experience, anything up to 140 will work. I think 120 is a really great bullet weight. What I found is that with a 100 grain bullet, like a nozzle ballistic tip, I'm getting around 21 to 2200 feet a second out of a 10-inch barrel, 2100 feet a second or so. And then with a 120, I'm a little bit over 2000. And then with a 140, I'm around 1900. So I would generally use the 140s for target practice and that kind of stuff. And plus, it's the bullet weight that I have the most of because of Sierra Game Kings, Sierra Game Kings, the Match Kings, Hornady Interlocks, bulk bullets. I used to buy the Remington 140 grain bulk bullets back when we could get bulk bullets in a bag from Remington. I found that it is a pleasant gun to shoot with a 10-inch barrel. A 14 has a marked step up. I mean, you gain some velocity with that. It's not a powerhouse, but then it wasn't designed to be a powerhouse. The 7 millimeter TCU, 6.5 millimeter TCU were basically designed for the silhouette game. And so you've got to push a ram off of a post at 200 meters. So it's got to have enough energy to do that. So with a 140 grain bullet, it's still got enough energy to do it fairly reliably. The 7 millimeter is liked a little more. It's got a little bit more bullet weight and bullet diameter, so it's a little bit more effective. But I think it's a great round. I've shot hundreds and hundreds of rounds out of it using anything from down to the like 85, 87 grain varmint bullets up to 160s. And I had some 160s. Somebody gave me a box of the Hornady round nose ones, and I said, let's load those, just see it. And they didn't go real fast. It was like 1,700 feet a second. I didn't push it, but it was a handful. But the 140s is the limit I would stop at. I think the 120 would be really good. I would like to see what it would do if you had a good non-varmint 100 grainer. I mean, you could probably stretch it close to 2,200 feet a second if you tried, especially with newer powders. That's sort of the thing is there hasn't been a whole lot of reloading data available for the 6.5 TCU in several years. What we're using is legacy data, and there is some new data, a little bit of new data with some of the stuff on the Hodgdon website for accurate and stuff like that, but that's about it. Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this cartridge talk and one of my favorite little cartridges to go play with. It was actually the first Wildcat round that I ever started fooling around with, and I still like to take it out and shoot it. Well, y'all have yourself a marvelous day. Talk to you later. Bye.